Calaroga Shark Media.
Hey there, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. GQ asked Marc Maron if he's sad about WTF ending. Is it like reading his own obituary? Maron said, "Nah, I haven't gotten the sense of obituary, dying, or reconsidering. That hasn't happened. But not unlike the way I do comedy, the way I do the podcast is I'm all in and pretty wide open and trying to sort through my own feelings about everything. And also very aware of the weight of expectation and people's need for my companionship and point of view in their lives. And after 16 years of that, I'm a little depleted. And I do think there's some things about me that have changed. There's also the climate of where media's at now, and he did this before Colbertgate, where it becomes, I don't know if it's diminishing returns or just sort of a psychological and emotional exhaustion. But no. Look, I don't know what my public profile, my brand, or whatever words people apply to a public person is going to be after the podcast ends in terms of not being out there twice a week, bleeding. But Brendan and I have done a very specific thing for a long time that's never diminished in quality and has never been other than what we wanted it to be. And it's created a space, not just for us, but for many podcasters. It created a template and put the medium on the map. And we see it as a finished thing in a lot of ways. He's a very specific type of audio producer and engineer, and I do what I do. The partnership has been equal. We're workers, and we've done a great thing. And there's no reason to keep dumping it out there if it just becomes something we feel like we have to do because we don't know anything else. All right, Mark, what should we do without you? He said, have the conversation with your friends. These conversations have been important to me personally. I really, really am totally aware of the fact that we're on mics. My guests aren't, and the conversations we have are thorough and intimate. I really, really am totally aware of the fact that we're on mics. My guests aren't, and the conversations we have are thorough and intimate. And I think that's something that human beings should do more in their lives because it's important. We're all on Zoom. We're all locked in our phones in different states of panic or minor elation at times. And I think that disconnects from humans. It's a big problem. There's no flesh and blood community undertaking in most people's lives other than work and whatever their day-to-day is. And one of the things that drove me to the podcast in general is I've always been that person. When I was a young comic wandering around New York, frustrated I couldn't get on stage, kind of sweating it out with my notebook and having days and nights open because I didn't see any other thing for me to do, I really used to make the rounds. I used to go to a couple guitar shows. I used to go to a couple guitar stores. I'd go to bookstores. I'd go to record stores. I'd go there, talk to the guys who were working there, and talk about the things that interested me with people who could teach me something or were like-minded. It was always part of my life, and it was an important part of my life. If I have one fear about the podcast being over, it's that I'm going to have to put more effort in expanding my personal social circles. So I can continue having these conversations that are enlightening and also get me out of myself and into somebody else's life. So I'd say that people who listen should try to make that an important part of their life, as it's what makes us human. Good stuff there. Happy Gilmore 2 director Kyle Newacek spoke to CBR.com about what other Adam Sandler films could benefit from having a sequel. I wish we could get a sequel to Uncut Gems, but if you've seen Uncut Gems, that would be hard to do. Maybe we could get a prequel to Uncut Gems. Newacek said, "Here's one thing I think would be interesting now, because Sandler was always doing the Little Nicky voice on set. So just hearing it, I was like, I bet that would be excellent now, too." No, it wouldn't. "I bet we could do something really crazy with Little Nicky." Please don't. "I think there's something like, Happy Gilmore is grounded and he's able to comment on the world in this movie and kind of send its themes out. But I feel like Little Nicky in the fantastic realm would really be able to call attention to some crazy stuff going on in the world right now. Please don't." You may remember the 2000 film starred Adam Sandler as the son of Satan. CBR points out the film was not met with strong reviews, and it scored a 22% on Rotten Tomatoes. It bombed in theaters. It was even nominated for Razzies, including Worst Actor for Adam Sandler. Shocking. Michael Palin from Monty Python spoke to SGA Mag. Could the Pythons get back together? Michael Palin said, "Occasionally there are ideas for getting together, but now there's only 4 of us left and people do their own things. Eric Idle's very much taken up the American way of life. John Cleese is doing well with Faulty Towers in the West End, so he's fine. Terry Gilliam, I'm seeing tomorrow. He lives up the road. He's always got a major film on the go, which he says has been messed up by some so-and-so. That's how I know he's happy." Graham Chapman and Terry Jones have passed away. There have been rumors of a new stage version of Life of Brian. Michael says, "Yeah, that has potential, but I don't know where that's got to. I think what Python produced is what we produced when we were all together, and when Graham was around, he was brilliant as the central character in Life of Brian, so to do something else without that aspect of it doesn't seem to me quite right. It's like a table with 4 legs, one of which is missing. It's still just about usable, but it's not very stable." Taylor Tomlinson spoke to the Times of London. Taylor is on the road until January, and then she says, "This is honestly the first time in a while, and I think it's because I'm a bit burnt out, that I don't really know where to go from here. I think I need to live a little bit of life, and there's something to talk about." She has a book coming out late next year about things she's changed her mind about, including marriage. Taylor says, "I really wanted to be married when I was younger. If I'd met someone who said, I don't want to get married, I would have stopped dating them. I think I still wanted to hold on to this image of an ideal woman with a church upbringing. Now I'm not sure if I ever want to get married. I don't really care what people are saying about me, and I forgive myself more than I used to. I was really hard on myself for every little mistake, and knowing that a certain job or level of success or relationship isn't going to fix you, you're your own responsibility. That's where I've got to. Most of my goals are personal and not professional, which is a nice change. I could do a whole hour on how I used to want to be a comedian, and now I want to be a human being. John Goodman told the Daily Beast he hasn't spoken to former co-star Roseanne Barr in a few years, and she probably doesn't want to hear from him. Apparently, Roseanne is not easy to work with. Goodman said she was a force of nature when it came to getting what she wanted. We were work friends. The Guardian had a fun anecdote from Robin Williams. They write, for a year, from 1980 to 1981, the comic strip was the hippest and hottest comedy night in town. The bouncers had a rule. If you reeked of aftershave, you were sent to the strip show. If you smelled of beer, they went to the comedy show. Robin Williams came in and demanded to perform to impress his guest David Bowie. He was offered 15 minutes. Robin said, I told David Bowie I'd do an hour. The guy running the place said, you can't. Robin Williams said, I'll buy the club. Robin was told, we don't own it. It belongs to a bouffant-haired pornographer. The Montreal Comedy Festival wraps up today. 6 o'clock, Jerry D tapes a Netflix special. 7 o'clock, Danny Boy. Leslie Lau at 7. Dropout Improv at 7:30. Sunday Night Improv at 8. Jerry D again, another Netflix taping at 8:30. Matthew Broussard, who's been a guest of the show, and a former great new face at 9. So if we were up there tonight, I don't know, Leslie Lau at 7 and Broussard at 9, because we can see Jerry D when he's on Netflix. On Gossip Corner, Daniel Tosh was in Kansas City somewhat recently. He apparently enjoyed eating at barbecue restaurant Q39. He said it was great, but lamented the fact that they were out of sausage. Tosh said he stayed at the Crossroads Hotel for one night and gave props to XR, one of the restaurants inside the hotel. He said the pizzas were delicious, but the charred cucumber salad stole the show. Dave Thomas recently returned from a 10-day trip to Ukraine to raise awareness for the Ukrainian Freedom Fund, a charity that supplies non-lethal equipment and training to Ukrainians. Dave Thomas from SCTV is 76 now. He told the Globe and Mail, you can't fly to Ukraine. I took a Turkish Airlines flight from LA to Istanbul, which took 14 hours. Then I took a connecting flight to Moldova, south of Ukraine. From there was an 8-hour ride with an army security official through Ukraine. It was a pretty hairy ride. We were dodging automobile debris on the road from previous drone strikes. We had to travel at night because the strikes were during the day. I later met a communications officer who said his personal car was attacked when he was off duty. They were stalking him because he was a valuable piece in the military command chain. The Russians use social media and all sorts of tracking methods. It's a different kind of war going on. Dave Thomas says, Kyiv, we got there in the morning. It looked like a normal European city, business as usual. People sat in cafes drinking lattes. Students were lined up outside the university. During the day, it was difficult for me to imagine there was a war going on. But at night, that's when you know. Explosions rock my hotel. I'm 76 years old. I feel like I have to do something with my life before I die that has some value. I've made some people laugh. I guess that's great, but I felt I should do something more. I learned a lot about people. Maybe there'll be an increase in donations in Canada, which would be great. They're giving medical supplies and teaching field triage. They have evacuation teams that go behind enemy lines to rescue Ukrainian people who were trapped there, including women and children. He accompanied those teams and said the Russians were shooting at us. Drones are the weapons of choice now. Ukrainian soldiers told me how difficult they are to shoot down. They're almost like model airplanes. I saw one Russian drone hanging in a bar. It doesn't look threatening at all, and yet they carry ordnance. Did he visit any comedy clubs? In context, that's not an absurd question. I'm excerpting from the article. Dave said, yeah, I spoke with stand-ups. I wanted to know what Ukrainians were laughing at. What I found was that it wasn't Trump or Putin or political jokes. It's dating, lifestyle jokes. They want to laugh at normal things. The war is off topic. Nobody thinks the war is funny. There's nothing funny about it. And that is your comedy news for today. If you're on Apple Podcasts, click the banner that says uninterrupted listening. If you're not on Apple Podcasts, you can go to calaroga.com/plus. Link in the show notes. Short version, $5 a month. Great way to support the show and no ads. See you tomorrow.